If you have a child with autism and you are a parent and you are under the sound of my voice on this podcast, the first myth is autism is caused by poor parenting. Because that's the first thought. I did something.
You did not. You didn't do anything. And lots of people have babies. That's all you did. It's not your fault. Never was, never will be. It's just not. And also, you're not alone, because as high as the numbers are, and the numbers keep increasing, I can't even keep up with the prevalence rate. But with the numbers, if there's an autism child, there's an autism parent. So if there are so many children, there are also so many parents. So I really encourage parents to get in contact, get in community with other parents, because that will be key. Get yourself into a community. They're on Facebook, they're Eventbrites if you want to look up, but there are communities. Don't do this alone. It's not your fault. Find other parents, please.
Hey entrepreneurs, this is Connie S. 𝗓𝘗𝘁𝘁cie, and the S is for Systems. We are here for another awesome episode of Life with Systems, and I have yet another guest but friend here. Hey, Veronica Craftton.
Hello.
Who are you? How are you?
Oh, I am well. I am very well.
I know you are.
Yes. It's
so
exciting.
Tell me, who are you?
My name is Veronica Craftton. I am the owner of Amazingly Uplifted. We are an educational consulting company here in the Atlanta metro area, serving schools, be it charter schools, public schools, and virtual schools.
Do you remember back when our pitches were just not as great? I know I was at the bottom tier of it. Mine was so bad.
Yeah, we had to work on it because we didn't really know what we were doing.
That is also true. But now look at us.
Look at us.
Look at us. Look at us. Who would have thought?
Not me.
Not me.
Not me.
Sorry. Okay. We watched too much Instagram.
We are.
So we're going to get right into this interview. We're going to be all professional and whatnot. We'll see.
Okay.
We're going to see how
Give me a sec. All right. Go.
What motivated you to start?
We're not going to make it.
To start Amazingly Uplifted?
Well, I was a special education teacher for 6 years, and I loved teaching. I taught a self-contained classroom, and that basically means children stay in that classroom for a majority of the day. They have very few opportunities to be with their general education peers. I loved it. It was my favorite thing. However, I noticed that I was getting referrals for students to come to my class that didn't necessarily need to be there. And the type of classroom I taught was considered one of the most restrictive classrooms. So I said to myself, that must mean that the teachers that these kids, the classes that these kids are coming from, don't have the same tools or the same knowledge that I have. Maybe I should teach them to have a greater impact. And so that's kind of how Amazingly Uplifted, the idea came. I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll go train other teachers. I tried to go for a position in my current district to be an autism coach or trainer, and they did not give me the job. And I'm not a fan of being told yes.
She doesn't say no so bad.
What'd you do? Anyway,
I'm sorry.
I don't even know what you said. But yeah, so I was like, okay, well, I'll do my own thing. And that's exactly how Amazingly Uplifted started, was out of someone's rejection. So yeah.
I think that is genuinely the reason why most people decide they're going to go into entrepreneurship. They don't like what somebody told them at their job, because who you talking to?
Let me be great so I can help y'all be great. That's all I wanted to do.
And even the classroom that you were in, that's not a classroom that most teachers want to be in.
Correct. It was a classroom for children with pretty severe autism, some nonverbal, but some also having some severe behaviors. So there might be some kicking and screaming and biting and hair pulling and running away. But I was built for that. We could handle it. But my kids still learned. We still had fun. We still did the same kind of activities that our general education kids did. I made my classroom fun because I wanted to have fun. So we still made that thing work. But yes, there were a lot of challenges in the classrooms.
How did you decide that you were built for it? Because it takes a different level of patience to deal with your own kids, much less deal with somebody else's kids, much less deal with someone else's kids that may have is special needs the right term to say?
Yeah. Okay. No, it was completely by accident. I got into this field because I thought I wanted to do one thing, and then someone suggested that I try teaching kids with special needs. And on my first day on the job, I was like, I love this. And then I was like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life because this is fun. I realized I didn't really want to have to be an adult all the time. And when you work with kids, you don't have to be an adult all the time. So yeah.
So you had enough experience just working with kids already to say, you know what, I'm going to do this on my own. What was that transition out of working in the school into working for yourself?
A complete faith walk. A complete faith walk. I was 29 at the time. I did have a private client that I would see. And when I did the math, right? So math is important when you stepping out into entrepreneurship. Now, right or wrong, at the time, I said, okay, this is how much I'm making as a teacher. This is how much I can make if I work privately with one client for 20 hours a week. Now, teachers, they work a bit more than 20 hours a week. They work more than 40 hours a week. Most work more than 50 hours a week. I know I did. Okay, get to the school at 6 when they open, leave at 6 when they close, 12-hour days. And so I said, well, if I can make the same amount of money working 20 hours a week with this private client and then have all my time and don't have to bring work home versus being a teacher, that seems good enough for me.
I received that.
Okay, so that's what I did. My last day of work, I packed up my classroom and left the school building to go close on my house because I knew I needed to buy a house so I could show some income and not buy a house as an entrepreneur.
It's awful.
Yeah, I'm glad. Best decision I've made. So quit my job, signed on my house, and started a business on the same day.
That's a lot.
It is, but it works out. Amen.
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 So let's talk about this transition into entrepreneurship, because coming from corporate, whatever that looks like, it may be school, maybe corporate offices, it could be a McDonald's. It is a different system where now someone tells me what to do versus I'm the boss of me. What did that transition look like for you?
It was slow. So now it's not as sexy to talk about slow transitions into entrepreneurship. Everyone wants to immediately get to the bag, immediately have clients, immediately have 10,000 followers, immediately have all of the things. Mine was not built like that. Like I said, I started off knowing that I just had at least one client that could at least sustain what I had already had going on. And then I kind of just let it go from there, to be honest with you. My business grew off of word of mouth, off of the work that I was doing. I got a call one day from a former coworker, a former boss actually, and she said, hey, I'm at this school district now. They need some help. Do you want to come consult? Yes, I'm not doing anything else. So why not? Let's go ahead and jump into this. And then that took off. So it was a slow journey. I started with just myself. Then as I continued to get more requests for work, I'm like, well, man, I need to bring someone else in. So I met someone who, we were kind of on the same wavelength. I knew her work. I could trust her work just to represent me in my business well, and the Amazingly Uplifted's name well. So I brought her on as a contractor. And then it's slow. A couple of years after that, we started to get requests for private services from families. And when you get requests from 5 different families saying, hey, Veronica, we want you to work with our child, I'm only one person. And I really, now that I'm used to working 20 hours a week and having all this free time, I don't want to go back to working 40 hours a week.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. So then that meant what? More people. So then the business started to grow in that way, where I brought on a clinical director, and then that's when the real staff came, because we transitioned into offering private therapy. So yeah, it was a very slow process, but I enjoyed every step of the way. And we talk about that a lot, about steps and not skipping steps, because that's important too. So
were there any steps that you felt like I probably should have done this?
For sure. Like most entrepreneurs out there who started off and knew the craft but not business, I didn't have any systems. Sorry. And then I met someone who did know a bit about systems, and I still didn't implement systems because it took a while. But it was very helpful to understand why I needed systems, but also feeling the effect of what happens when you don't. And that's what made that shift for me, because I'm like, I started to run myself into the ground. When you pray for growth in your business, you also have to pray for the ability to be able to maintain and handle that growth.
Girl.
And that has that cannot be absent of systems. It just can't.
This is let's talk about that for a little while, because we are people of faith. You just prayed and messed up all my makeup. Hopefully y'all could do this in post edit and get my eyes and everything together.
I'm not sorry.
I know you're not sorry, and the Lord heard you, because I feel good. But when you're in that space and you're saying, Lord, please just give me all the clients, Jesus. I pray in your name. I want all the smoke. Give me everybody. He like, all right, bet. Here goes everybody. Here's everything you've ever asked for. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that it was going to require it to stretch me. Right. What did that stretching look like?
Stretch Armstrong. That's the first thing I thought of. Like, you're over here, you're over here. And then it's also learning something new, because I had to be a different person. Because now it was just me before, but now people need me to instruct them so they can do the job I hired them for. And if they aren't doing the job to my satisfaction, I have to ask myself, did I give them the tools that they needed to be successful in the job? And then it's my fault. And then that's who wants it to be their fault. Like, boo to that. So it was definitely a self-check. And that's a part that I think we skip in not understanding what growth comes with. You really have to have, it's like systems for your business, but also systems for yourself. Check yourself before you start bringing in these people, because then whatever's messed up on your end is going to be messed up with them. And so now the messed upness is just magnified.
Come on, God.
And then it's not fun. And then the thing that you started your business from your passion, and now your passion isn't fun anymore because it's coming with all this stress. And I got there.
Tell me the day. What was it? Because it's always something where you like,
it was the 3rd of September. No. I can't tell you the day, but I can tell you the feeling. And it was when we had our autism center. I was sick because I wasn't sleeping. I was working more than I should have, but I had to, because I didn't have the people. And I was like, I cannot continue doing this. Because also I take pride in not just the services that we provide, but I also take very seriously the fact that I am an employer. I don't want to be a bad boss. I've had not so great bosses, and I don't want to be that. And that doesn't mean employees get their way all the time, but it does mean paying fairly. It does mean making an environment where they can do their job easily. It does mean rewarding them and treating them right. It means all of those things. So I wanted to create a culture, a work culture that was conducive to where somebody would want to work, because you can't scale without people.
You can't scale without people.
You can't scale without people.
I wish I could zoom the lens in on my eyes. You cannot scale without people, and you can't train people if you don't have systems in place. And so I think, because I'm glad that you said the culture part, because I'll have that down too. You were very intentional. Like, that was important to you.
Yes.
The work culture, the company culture, that was something you said, I want to really hone in and focus on that. Why was that so important to you?
Well, honestly, it has a lot to do with the service that we provide, and who provides those services, and who are the workers and who are the owners. So just to give you a little bit of background, I'm a board certified behavior analyst, and that is basically a very fancy term for I help people, or I help children, or just anyone that we're working with their life in, I'm getting a little jumbled.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
What does ABA do?
So ABA is applied behavior analysis, and that's it. See, those things it's weird, because those were more difficult for me to verbalize, and I get jumbled on those. It's so weird.
It's crazy. Someone should write a book about it.
Someone should. Let me look at this book.
Sorry.
Sorry, we'll go back. Okay. Anyway, so anywho, so I'm a board certified behavior analyst, and it is a very difficult credential to obtain. And those are the people that are able to write treatment plans for children with autism, make those behavior assessments, and also kind of in charge of doing those things. The decision makers per se, right? And then you have your registered behavior technicians who follow the plans of the board certified behavior analysts, the BCBAs. And so there are a lot of us that are RBTs. There are a lot of us that are doing the work, the direct work with the kids, but only, I believe it's 5% of us are BCBAs, and even fewer are owners. And when I was trying to obtain my BCBA, because the only way you can do it is really you have to get supervision from another BCBA. So it was very difficult. There were a lot of challenges in the way, we'll say. And so I also wanted to create an environment where African Americans and Black people would be able to not easily, but be able to get their certificates and their certifications without that extra hoopla, because it's already hard. Like, our board makes it difficult. It's not easy to get these letters. But I really wanted to make sure that I was able to provide that for people who wanted it, because it was not easily provided for me until I found the right supervisor, which was very difficult. But when I found her, she helped us all. So shout out to you, Meredith. Woo, love you.
Love you, Meredith. So now that you've made this journey and now you realize, like, okay, you cannot scale without the people. Now I know that I have to have put systems in place. Now I know that I really care about the company culture. Mm-hmm. Then you opened a center. Mm-hmm. Tell me about the center.
So this COVID, right?
Yeah.
So the services that we provide, we were going in homes at the time. That is typically how small businesses start going in the homes, because there's less overhead. Then March 2020 hit. Now, when you have a business where that's face-to-face and then a panic comes where you can't be face-to-face at all, that kind of shuts your business down. Now, we had some virtual work as well, so we were still somewhat afloat, but I had to consider what to do next. And also, our clients, like, our kids with autism don't care if it's a pandemic. If they still need support, okay? Whether there's a pandemic or not. So thankfully, we were considered, what were they calling it, a required service or essential?
Essential,
yeah,
yes,
we were
yes.
essential. So that helped it. But I also wanted to make sure that my staff were safe. And instead of using the model where they would go into multiple homes in one day for different sessions, I said, well, I think the best thing to do would be to have everyone come to us. And so that's where the idea for a center came. But that was around the same time that my clinical director left. So that left me with running the private therapy side, running the school side of our business, and running the business and working in the business. So your girl was tired.
I know.
I was so tired.
I remember.
I didn't see you for like 2 years.
A very long time.
It was such a sad time.
It was very sad.
I missed you.
I missed you.
Oh. But we're back.
We are.
And we're good.
Because you sold it.
Yeah, we should act like we're on a podcast and people are here.
Oh. Sorry.
So
the center.
Yeah.
So tell me about what happened with the center.
So we had great success. I mean, it was, we definitely saw the revenue. The revenue was there. I had good staff. I mean, turnover is typically high in this field, but it is what it is. But I was really proud of the ones that were really down. They bought into the AU culture, the AU mission, the vision, all of that, and had some really solid people. So I'm very fortunate in that way. However, that doesn't negate the fact that I was working too much. And so I said the best decision for myself would be to sell it. Because it was just too much on little old me. And then, like I said, I kind of started to resent having to come to work, and you don't want to do that, because then that will trickle to my employees, and that trickles to the kids, and we don't want that. So I started a plan and plotting in my head, found a seller, and let that thing go.
How do you feel about selling a business? That's fancy.
Yeah, good, because now my mind doesn't have to be everywhere at once, and I can get back to what it is that I really love doing.
What do you really love doing?
Nothing. No.
Amen, sister. Who are you talking to? You're preaching to the crowd over here.
Right. But no, I just want to be able to focus on what I want to focus on. So now we're in a position where I have an amazing assistant, I have an amazing supervisor. They run pretty much everything. They call me when they call me, I always answer because I know that they have exhausted whatever possibility that they could do in their own strength. And it's probably my fault if we're just being real. Whatever is probably because I didn't do something. But they give me grace.
I appreciate your honesty.
You're welcome.
Because a lot of people aren't honest.
Because if they see this, they're going to be like, don't lie.
They're going to start disliking. They're going to report the whole entire podcast. Please don't get my podcast turned off already.
Right.
But that's important, the honesty of it, of being able to be real and transparent when it comes to your team. And I think for you, you have hired people that you're like, I believe in you, you're great. And you've whittled through the ones that you know are the foundation of the company. Absolutely. And so when that phone rings, you know it's something that's needed. That's needed.
Yeah.
And you know that it's something I probably didn't do or it's something that I didn't document. How do you handle those calls?
I answer the question. There's typically an apology. And then we try to course correct that so that it doesn't happen again. And really, when I say we course correct, I mean the assistant, she writes stuff down and she makes sure that it doesn't happen again. It's not really me. She's great.
And it shouldn't be you because that's not your title.
Right.
That's not your
You
title.
taught me that. Thank you. Because I don't want to. And I'm probably not gonna.
And it's just not gonna, does it need to get done? Yes.
Yes,
Am
absolutely.
I going to do it? Probably not.
No. And if I do, it won't be in a timely fashion.
It's probably not gonna be the best. I'm probably not the best person to do it anyway.
I'm bad at that. But I know what I'm good at.
See?
And I do that. And I know what my staff is good at, and I let them do that.
And that's why we pay them to do the things that they're great at.
Yeah.
What do you feel like you're great at? What is your strength? What do you feel like when you walk in the door, you kick the door flat, can't nobody say nothing to Veronica Craftton about it?
I'm great at connecting with people. Yes. Understanding the needs of schools, of families when it comes to their children or students, and just really being able to help them work better in their environments. So one thing that is very important to me is I don't want Amazingly Uplifted coming in with AU staff and you're seeing success with the child and you're like, yay, this is great. But then when the AU staff leaves, there's, the family still struggles. We're not getting paid for your child to listen to us. I mean, this helps for us, but we want that to generalize to the home and school setting. So that's why it's important for us to make sure that that we teach in that way and that we provide the service in that way to where the families and the school staff is always included in our plans and what we're doing.
So one of the things that I really admire about you, aside from your beauty, clearly, and how brilliant you are.
Stop it, keep it coming.
I know. But is your level of self-awareness and being able to know and identify what you are great at and what someone else should be responsible for. And when you're looking at hiring someone onto your team, what do you look at? What do you look for?
So that first starts with why am I hiring and what kind of person is going to fit in this company? So I have an interview SOP that includes some core questions that have to be answered or that have to be asked to the interviewee. And then some of those questions are also centered around the company culture. So I know what I believe about autism, but I need to know what someone else believes about autism. So when I say, what does autism mean to you? And they say something that doesn't align with who we are, that person's not going to be the person that is going to be best for AU. And that's okay. Same thing with some other things. So there are certain questions that you ask that directly pertain to your company and who you want your company to be and what you want your company to stand for, that you should also include asking and not just the job. Because here's the thing, especially when it comes to working with kids, I can teach you the science. I can teach you what it means to write a behavior intervention plan. I can teach you different ways to collect data. What I cannot teach you is the art. There is the science and there is the art. I can't always give you the art that has to be in you. So I need to know, how do you naturally connect and work with kids? How do you naturally flow? I can teach you the science stuff, but I can't teach you to see a kid that's having a hard time and you realize that it's because of something in their environment versus just thinking they're being bad.
That's so important. And I think I want to point to it because I use you as an example in this space, and you'll find out why. When you are the face of the company, when you are the personality of the company, when you are the brand of the company, right, people only want to work with you. They think when they call Amazingly Uplifted, Veronica Craftton needs to answer the phone. She needs to come and see my kids. She needs to come to the school. And I know that's backfired for you. And it's backfired for so many people. And that's why I use you as an example in that, because when you walk in the door and your gift and your strength is in connecting with people, you are full of bubbles and love and facts, experience and genuine empathy for kids. You love it. You have to love it to be able to walk into these rooms. Tell me something you wish you would have done on the front end before you ran into the, oh, you're sending somebody else? Well, we're looking for Veronica. We wanted her to work with our baby. We wanted her to come to school. What's something that you've put in place? What's a system you put in place for your company to make sure that we alleviated one of those issues?
It's on two ends. So one is with who I hire. So making sure that I can trust the person to represent Amazingly Uplifted in the way that I hold us to a certain standard, and also myself. But then two, explaining to the client immediately, you may not get me. And you're hiring Amazingly Uplifted. You're not hiring Veronica Craftton. Because Amazingly Uplifted is the business. Veronica Craftton is the person that doesn't want to work too much.
And I'm not going to show up. I
will show up.
I'm not sure.
But my preference is to send someone else.
And I love that, because I think that was a real life example that people run into, especially because most people, they're like, I'm the company, it's me. And it's like, okay, well, they want you to do everything. So being intentional on the front end, especially even with my own company, I always say the team. Us, we, there is never an I anywhere you're going to find anywhere of I, Connie.
Yeah, language has to change.
Has to change.
Has to.
Because otherwise, if they're like, well, your website say Connie S Falls, it's Connie Falls that I go to, it's ConnieFalls.com.
You should change to Connie Falls in them.
And them, and the team. I should call it StephanieBrinkley.com, because that's who they're going to end up talking to.
Yeah. And then they wouldn't be so disappointed.
And here's the thing.
We just
once they get over there to her, they don't even want to talk to me anymore.
They don't.
They don't. And I thought I was bubbly. I'm not as bubbly as you are, but I thought I was good.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. But that's what you want.
It is what I want. I don't want them to want me anywhere. I changed it to StephanieBrinkley.com. Yeah. Can somebody put that in a note somewhere?
Can you put that?
Steph, could you put that we need StephanieBrinkley.com? Yeah. We want to go ahead and put that in place. I appreciate that. But we want to talk about the person, the person who's sitting next to me that is now an author.
Oh, me.
Ew.
Yes.
Twin, you wrote a book.
I wrote a book. You kind of bullied me a little bit into doing it, but I did.
If I bullied anybody in here, raise your hand.
I just want it to be known that everyone's hand is raised. If Connie has bullied you, there's support. Call 1-800-SHE bullied me. Now. In the arms of an Connie bullied me.
Oh my God, that's so. But a bully out of love. Because what we have here, pa-ching. This is beautiful too, twin.
Thank you.
You did an excellent job. Are you proud of yourself?
I am, because this has been something that has been in my heart for a very long time, but I just did not have the capacity to do it. The time, the mental space. I mean, I tell you all the time, it's amazing what you can do when you don't have mental health issues.
Literally.
Yeah. So it was great.
So let's talk about what's in here. Learning the language of autism, an A to Z guide for parents and teachers.
Yes.
What does it mean to learn the language? Is there a different language that we need to be able to speak?
So for parents and teachers, when you're diving into the world of autism, there's so much jargon. There are so many terms. There are so many acronyms that it is hard to manage. And when I think about looking back on my experience as both a teacher and someone who has been working closely with parents, as a teacher, as a service provider, as a consultant, just all of those things, I know that parents don't often get the information that they need before their child enters school, and even sometimes while their child is in school. When their children get diagnosed, the pediatrician tells them, hey, your child has autism, call these places. That's a lot of parents' story. That's pretty much it. So they don't get the information that they need. They have to learn it on the way, do so much research. And then when that child gets to school, there's so many things that aren't explained. And that's not necessarily, I would say, the school's fault, because we also have a lot of teachers that come in sometimes on provisional license, which means they don't necessarily have a background in education. And they have a certain amount of time that they can get their degree, but they don't have that background. And then you've got teachers who even did go to school for education that still may not fully know, because sometimes you don't know until you get in it. Teaching is one of those jobs. Like, you can learn all the things, but until you're running your own classroom, it's like, what? Hope and a prayer. So that's what this book is for. And then the reason why I wrote it for parents and teachers, like, well, those are separate groups. Yes. However, where does a child spend most of their time? At home and at school. So if we have parents and teachers talking the same language and understanding the same things and working together, then that's even better for the child. And I lived that when I was a teacher. I have lots of parents that I still keep in touch with. And part of the reason why that some of those students saw success at home and at school is because of the parent-teacher relationship that we had. So that's why we have learning the language of autism.
This is absolutely amazing. And I'm just honored that I've got to watch this journey and see not just you grow as a human, but also as a business owner and now as an author.
Oh,
yeah.
Can you say that like
You're an author twin? Isn't that cool?
It is.
It's very cool.
It's
cool. I think
it's like
this
really
is
adult.
It's very grown.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing it, being grown. But I think this is important because most of the time the conversations at home or school are totally different.
Right.
Teachers be tired because you got too many kids in the classroom, and then you're not even thinking about the added stress of the special needs side of it, right? And then the parents are stressed at home and they don't know they didn't know that they were going to have like all of the stress and the mental health that goes along with it. And if you don't have anywhere to go, you don't have anywhere. They just say, hey, yeah, your kid got autism. All right, then.
All right.
Call these numbers. That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
So thinking about it of having a child, everybody and literally their mama got the same mother book, the little pink book with the light skin folder on the front of it. You gonna have a baby? Here, read book. This. You need to read this. And every single week, here's what your baby's gonna look like. It's gonna be the size of a pea. It's gonna be the size of a peanut. You have a guide, and that's just been the foundational Bible for having a baby, right? We needed this. And I'm not going to stress you about how long the people that needed this. Well, because you did it in God's time. It's not in Connie's time.
See how you lightweight just bullied me, but then tried to put some God on
I did. I just threw Jesus on in there in addition. Okay. But I think even the way that you explained it, because I of course had a chance to see it before most people. Yeah. Insert hair flip. But even the explanations, because when you think of autism, and again, most of the world is ignorant to what it really means. And we were talking last night about people thinking the spectrum is linear.
Correct.
It's just like either you real autistic or you just a little bit autistic. Right. And the ADHD is somewhere on there, and you just sprinkled in onto and understanding that it's not that. And also understanding what the terms are that go along with this. So I first opened the book and I'm looking at IEP, right? The Individualized Education Program. Now, my first thought, the first time I ever heard this was with my daughter and talking about ADHD and her having trouble with doing tests when a bunch of other kids are in there and they're talking and they're tapping. And she's like, I'll just write my name on the top. I'm out of here, right? And so you talked to me about IEP. So I never would have thought that this was a term. Right. because I'm not thinking of the whole spectrum. Right. So imagine I've been next to you. You're my twin. Mm-hmm. My daughter was a peer educator for your company. Mm-hmm. And imagine me not knowing that even this term is something that I would need to know, and it would still fall under autism. Imagine the parents that don't have a bestie that runs a consulting company for children with special needs.
Right. Mm-hmm.
How crazy and how necessary is this? What made you say it's time?
There needed to be a solution. It's that simple. And again, like it's no one's fault. And I've seen so many parents that are hard on themselves, and same thing for teachers for not knowing, but you don't know what you don't know. And it's not your fault that you don't know it. But now there's a resource. That's what I wanted this to be. So it's easy to read. It's like a dictionary. It's just got your key terms. But what excites me most about it is that it's not just about key terms, right? So it's information for sure. So yes, it's going to explain what an IEP, a 504 is. It's going to explain modifications, accommodations. It's going to explain discrete trial training, an ABA, and all of those things, and OT, and blah, 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 blah. Yes, it's that. But it's also a little bit of inspiration because you're gonna need it, okay? So yes, hope is a word in there. Faith is a word in there. WTH, because if you've been working with kids with autism or you have a child with autism, you know sometimes you got some moments like,
what the? I can see it.
Right. So that's in there as well. And then you have some implementation. So with some of the things that are in the book, it tells you how to implement those things. And then there's a part for parents to do at home, and there's something that teachers can do at school. And the goal of that is for a parent to be able to say, hey, this is what we're doing at home. And a teacher to be able to say, hey, this is what we're doing at school. And now you have generalization, which is a term in the book, and that child is able to make progress faster and long lasting. That is the goal of it. So it's all, my purpose is always goes back to the child with autism. But since I'm only one person and I can't work with each and every child, why not support the people that support them?
With the book. And can we just do one myth buster really quick?
Go ahead.
I think the first one is it's going to free somebody. There's a parent out here that's going to be freed. Do you want me to read it, or you want to read it?
Please, I would love to.
I would love to read. I thank you because I like my voice. Y'all ready?
Okay.
If you have a child with autism and you are a parent and you are under the sound of my voice on this podcast, the first myth is autism is caused by poor parenting. Because that's the first thought. I did something.
You did not. You didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. You had a baby. That's what you did. And lots of people have babies. That's all you did. It's not your fault. Never was, never will be. It's just not. And also you're not alone, because as high as the numbers are, right? And the numbers keep increasing. I can't even keep up with the prevalence rate. But with the numbers, if there's an autism child, there's an autism parent, right? So if there are so many children, there are also so many parents. So I really encourage parents to get in contact, get in community with other parents, because that will be key. And in August, with the start of school, we will start a parent program. So you can go to AmazinglyUplifted.com for that. There'll be more information on that coming up. But, get yourself into a community. They're on Facebook, they're Eventbrites if you want to look up, but there are communities. Don't do this alone. It's not your fault. Find other parents, please.
I'm crying in the car a little bit. I ain't gonna lie.
We didn't cry on this one, so that's really good.
I was trying to keep it light. I kept smiling.
Okay.
So that way I wouldn't, but I'm definitely gonna cry in the car because this fine. Is, nope. Because I was gonna say something. I was gonna be deep.
Say it.
No.
Say it.
Say it. I knew you was gonna do that. Because this is big. This is something that this is legacy. Yes. There are going to be people for the rest of time that are going to look at this book, and it's going to become the Bible for how they raise and teach their children. It's going to free them.
I'm not.
Nope. I'm a gangster.
Me too.
Yeah. It's going to free people, just even knowing that it's not your fault. because there's a lot of guilt. And because I've got to witness the work you do with people, I get to see even the guilt you have of, I wish I can solve this for people. And you did, twin.
Okay.
We good?
Yeah. All right.
Cut the cameras off. All right, let's go.
Wrap it up.
But learning the language of autism, how can they find your book?
You can go to veronicacrafton.com to purchase Learning the Language of Autism, an A to Z guide for parents and teachers.
Oh, you got that. You got that. You know
That's
that. You did that.
We played with it a few times. We had to figure it out.
You sounded it out and made sure it sounded smooth. It sounded smooth. Sorry.
Oh,
hey, I'm sorry. This is Connie S. I'm about to go cry in the car. If y'all give me a second, I don't want my makeup to be messed up. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to Life with Systems. And make sure you grab this book. It's not just for you. You know someone whose child has autism. You probably have friends as adults, because it's not just for kids that are autistic. Mm-hmm. Get this book, veronicacrafton.com. Twin, I thank you and I love you for being here, and I'm so, so, so proud of you.
Proud of you too, twin.
Look at us being proud. Look at us.
Being proud.
Being proud.
Doing work.
Doing work for the people.
For the people. Because that's where our heart is.
It is.
It is.
And it's hard to help people.
Let's go get tacos.
All right, I love tacos.
Okay.
Love y'all.
Bye.